Hi everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. Now in this video I want to talk about infections, or what my guides are telling me they call them really microbes. We call them infections when it becomes a problem, right? When we have symptoms which bring our attention, our focus back to the body in the way that, hey, that's not right. So that communication through the body, which we call a symptom, is there for the right reasons, because it's your intelligence being communicated through the body. Now, when we look at microbes or infections, is when those microbes are no longer working alongside the anatomy and the physiology of that area of your body. So what I'm saying is they're working against the body. And we quite often in the medical industry, we call that pathogenic. Okay, so you'll hear pathogenic and you'll hear beneficial, right? So when we look at, for example, bacteria, you'll hear that, the friendly bacteria in the body is working with the body, is helping us to break down food so we can get the nutrients out of the food, which, by the way, is the energy in the food that we're absorbing. Because we don't absorb food into the body, the food goes down that long tube, and then everything gets broken down so we can absorb the nutrients, and that nutrients are certain frequencies of spectra, or spectrums of frequency of light or energy. Okay, now those microbes, and you would have heard it so many times, that we have more microbial DNA, microbial cells, than our own cells. So, and everything here within this reality is bound to a consciousness, just like ourselves. You're looking at Chris, the human being, but I'm an infinite consciousness that is having an experience through the vessel, what we call a human, and I'm connected to a consciousness. That's why I'm here. Everything else in this reality, including microbes, are bound to a consciousness too. Okay? So when we talk about that flora, that friendly bacteria, get back on track, we call that beneficial because it's working alongside the body or with the body. Okay, and then when we get symptoms of a runny nose or inflammation or bloodshot eyes, runny eyes, achiness through the body, which you kind of can see your kind of flu or cold-like symptoms, all of a sudden we realize, oh, hang on, something's not right here, right? And that's when microbes become pathogenic. They are working against the body, where they are proliferating in their numbers, at the same time you are lowering in vibration. So they're using your energy, really, what it comes down to. So why does that happen? In the medical community, they like to divide. There are certain strains that are beneficial and some are pathogenic. But what I've come to find here, and this is the way that we are treating a microbial imbalance or an infection here at Truly Holistic, is that we see them all the same. I don't divide them into beneficial bacteria strains and pathogenic bacteria strains. There is just bacteria. Okay, and what makes them either be beneficial or pathogenic is depending on the environment and and specifically the vibration and frequency of that environment that makes them either go to the good side, or go to the light, and go to the dark, or go to the bad side. Okay, so I'm going to include not only bacteria but mold, fungus, yeast, even Candida. These are certain microbes that are in the body that either work with the physiology or anatomy of the body, or they work against. And what depends whether they go good or bad is frequency. Everything comes down to frequency. Okay. So let's take the example of somebody's come to me, a client, and they are having symptoms, communication through the body, to say that they are lowering in vibration and frequency. Hence, they come down with a cold what we give the term, right? We like to label things. It's a very human thing, okay? Which can cause a problem in itself, okay? So what we do with a client like that is we find out, okay, what's going on? Where's there a microbial imbalance? Which we also call fermentation. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And we'll find there's a microbial imbalance, and it will tell me there is an infection problem, which is a microbial imbalance. We'll find out what microbe that is, and it could be bacteria, mold, fungus, yeast, Candida, virus, parasite. And we'll get to the virus and parasite because they're a little bit different. Let's take an example. It comes up with bacteria. And now what we used to do is we go to a bacteria chart and we find a specific strain of that bacteria and we just remove it. Very much in line, not as harsh, but very much in line with the modern medicine way. We're going to give that person antibiotics. And those antibiotics are we're just going to eradicate and kill that bacteria. And there's going to be some collateral damage as well with that treatment method. We weren't getting that, obviously, when we were just removing or saying false to a certain bacteria strain. But again, it was just a matter of just let's remove it. Not realizing that the microbial balance in your body is about balance. Okay? And understanding and knowing the whole aspect of why it gets like that. Okay? Because quite often when we just go remove or false, we remove something, it's because we don't have enough of the knowing and the understanding of the whole process that's been undertaken of why there was such a proliferation of that bacteria and caused that infection in the first place. We now know. Okay. What we do now is we ascend all bacteria in that area. So I'll do my detective work. We'll find that there is an imbalance, and that imbalance is creating an infection of bacteria, where it's now not beneficial, it's gone pathogenic, okay? And instead of removing it or saying bacteria false, a particular strain, we just find the area in the body and we ascend all bacteria. Now, when we make the intent to ascend all bacteria, we are lifting that bacteria into a higher spectrum of vibration and frequency, where it automatically switches from being pathogenic to beneficial. So working with the physiology of the body and the anatomy of the body, not against. So I guess the question is here, why is it working against the body? Now, this is where consciousness comes in. As I said earlier, everything in this reality, including every microbe, has a consciousness that connects to a higher aspect of itself. The universal law is that consciousness must evolve. So if that, let's say bacteria in this example, but it could be mold, fungus, or yeast, or Candida, if it's an environment that's low vibrational, it's going to look for energy for it to evolve itself, evolve its own consciousness, and it's going to make a decision to take your energy. And what happens there is it continues to evolve itself, but you continually lower in vibration and get sicker and sicker as the collateral damage of that. Okay? So hence, when we ascend and we give the vibration and frequency and ascend that bacteria into a higher state, it drops all agendas. It no longer needs to, like a parasite, suck off your own energy to evolve its own consciousness. Okay? So it's a lot better way of doing it. Okay? And what I'm finding when we do that, for people that have reoccurring infections, we can really resolve it in a lot more profound way instead of just removing the infection. So that's what we're doing at Truly Holistic in regards to resolving microbial imbalances or infections that are bacterial, mold, fungus, and yeast. Okay, because when you think about it, we eat funguses, which they call beneficial, like mushrooms. Okay, and it's not all pathogenic mold. There are beneficial mold. There's beneficial yeasts. For example, kombucha, the drink. So it's just, again, about creating the environment where they will work with the body, not against it. Now let's go to virus and parasites. As I said before, they're a little bit different. Now viruses, I'm going to start off with this. Where else do we find viruses? On our computer, on our phones, technology, okay? Viruses are programs, okay? So when even scientists, the medical community, they don't know exactly really what viruses are. And if you really look at a picture of what a virus is, it looks like it's something out of this world. It looks alien, okay? It's completely different to bacterium, mold, yeast, and fungus, which we've already mentioned. Now, virus is a program, and it's been one of the aspects of why I came to the conclusion that we live within a simulated reality. We live in a computer reality, okay? And that's a part of me as a quantum healer. When we go into the quantum aspects of it, we're getting to the genesis of everything. And the genesis of everything is in the consciousness, okay, of that thing. So, for example, just the other day I found out that water, the genesis of water is hydrogen. Okay, in this reality, the simulated reality, water is hydrogen and oxygen, H2O. But outside of this reality, water in its consciousness level, which is the higher aspect of itself, is just hydrogen. And it's as simple as breaking the word hydrogen down. Hydro, water, genesis of water. And the genesis of everything here is consciousness. Okay? So when we get into the quantum level thing, we're talking about consciousness. Okay? So when we look at viruses are programming that have been placed by consciousness. And as I say, every consciousness is wanting to evolve itself. Okay? There are consciousness that feed off energy that are detrimental to us, or the polarity, the duality to us. We sustain from love, and some consciousness sustains through fear. And that's what increases their consciousness or evolves their consciousness. But that's what ceases our evolution of consciousness, because we're the opposite to that. So we deal with viruses in a different way here at Truly Holistic. We actually say the words to delete it, uninstall and delete it, just like we'd be on a computer. And it works very well. Okay, COVID-19 is a virus, and I've had a few clients that I've treated for COVID-19, and that's how we get rid of it. Okay. Now, parasites again are a little bit different. Parasites are a physical manifestation of a demonic energy. Let's just take the word parasite itself. Okay, a lot of this is just simple stuff. It's common sense stuff, but again, we get too analytical in mind, and we put labels on everything, and we make it complex. It's a lot simpler than what we think. The word parasite, the definition of the parasite is to feed off another one's energy, to feed off a host. Okay, and we could you look at the word vampire. We see all the movies and all things, vampire with the fangs and stuff like that. But the definition of a vampire, what is the vampire doing? Feeding off the blood, feeding off the energy source of that person or that animal or whatever they're doing. So we need to look at the symbolism of a physical parasite, whether it's a macro parasite, so a wormy parasite, or a micro parasite, which we need a microscope to see, a single cell parasite. They are just a physical manifestation of an energy that's feeding off your light or your energy. And that's where entities or consciousness that are feeding off your energy or creating fear in your reality, so therefore they can feed off your fear and evolve their own consciousness. Okay, so that's where parasites come. So the way we treat parasites, we find the parasite, but not only that, we also remove, if it's a macro parasite, it's lay larvae eggs in you, or it's again, it has to defecate. So which is, you're not only removing the toxicity of your own body, but of the microorganisms of a parasite too. So we do that. But the most important thing we do to stop it remanifesting is we connect it to the consciousness that manifested that physical parasite, which will be parasitic in nature as well. So you can see how we go about removing infections in different ways. The knowing and the understanding of these things, is just becoming more enhanced as I ascend. I'm able to know more and understand why things are the way they are and why they are here. And when we have that information, then we can very easily resolve these issues that come about through infections or microbial imbalance. Now, coming back to the microbial imbalance and the word fermentation, is you probably would have heard the word fermentation in regards to fermented foods, fermented beverages. Like as I said earlier, with fermentation of where we have beneficial yeast like kombucha, where you have a medium, the SCOBY, which is a microbial community, and then you give it a medium for it to feed on so it proliferates in its numbers. So you add sugar, and those microbes feed on the sugar, those yeasts feed on the sugar. Now the byproduct of that is that they make a little bit of alcohol, okay, but they proliferate in the numbers of this beneficial microbe, and they market that product, kombucha, as being good for your digestive system, right, in your body. Another thing that comes about through that fermentation process is carbonation. You'll notice that beverage will become bubbly. Now, when it proliferates in numbers, the byproduct of that is carbon dioxide. So a carbonation occurs. And what's one of the biggest things we hear about people with digestive system? Bloat, right? Bloat. And that bloat is that carbonation. Okay? There's a fermentation process happening in the body. Now, that fermentation process doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be beneficial. It could be due to pathogenic reasonings. Okay? So I've used the example of kombucha. We could use the example of beer or wine or anything, which are fermentations, right? In a control facility to create a beneficial microbial community. Let's look at fermentation process of creating a pathogenic microbial community. And what we see with that, when a lot of the times what initiates a microbial imbalance is, one, it can be stress, right? Because again, that's lowering your vibration. So you're lowering the vibration of your environment. So therefore it will create those microbes that go bad, not good. So it work against the body, so become pathogenic, not beneficial. But it can also be a medium in the body, like food material on the walls of your digestive system that's stuck there and it's rotting or decaying, which again allows this carbonation or this fermentation process to occur, which attract all the bad guys, right, or create these microbes that become pathogenic. It can also mean a part of your own tissue that has become necrotic, and we need to treat that. So we look at all those things. So we're not only clearing your infection, we're looking at the reasons why it started. Why was there a microbial imbalance or a fermentation process occur in the first place? So we look at all those factors. And we also look at the byproducts of fermentation, like calcification that happens in the body. When we look at when especially elderly, their joints become stiff, they turn to stone. That is that's not just what we call the element calcium. That is an infection. Okay, folks, that calcification, that people get rheumatoid arthritis or arthritis and all these things, and areas get hardened, that hard tissue, that's an infection. Well, that is an adverse effect of an infection and an adverse effect of the process which initiated a microbial imbalance, which we call fermentation. So you can see how everything connects up. And I hope you're really enjoying this video, because I want to give you more knowing and understanding of the processes involved, why we get these microbial imbalances, which we call infection problems, and the best way of going about it and clearing it and resolving that issue. And we can do that here at Truly Holistic now. Not only we've been clearing and helping people with infection issues, and also people that come to me that have, you know, advanced or issues with cancer and stuff, that all initiated from a microbial imbalance where a fungus or a mold got out of hand, and because it was treated not the correct way, it eventually manifested into a bigger problem like cancer. Okay? And we can help you with that. We have knowing, the understanding of the information of that now. It's not about just taking a wild stab in the dark and removing an infection. We don't know why it happened in the first place. We know. We have the understanding of knowing now. And because of that knowing and understanding, we can go to a very deep level into stopping that remanifestation of an infection. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably watching or listening to this video that get reoccurring infections in a certain part of the body, and they think, why? Why in that part of the body? Well, we can give you answers here at Truly Holistic. So if you're interested and you have continually reoccurring problems with infections, or would like to re-establish your microbial imbalance, or a microbial imbalance into a balancing situation of the body, come and book a session here at trulyholistic.net, and we can really help you with that. And I tell you, everything is a vibration frequency thing. As I say, when we're eating food, we're not absorbing the food. We're absorbing the nutrients from the food. The nutrients is just simply frequencies on a broad spectrum of vibration and frequency, of light, because you're made up of light. You're made up of your vibration and frequency. Okay, everything starts there. And that light is consciousness. Okay? So we actually feed on consciousness. Okay? And we want to feed on high vibration, high frequency. And therefore, we create all the microbes, or the consciousness of those microbes within this vessel, the human body, to remain happy. So therefore, they don't have to feed off your own energy, which lowers your vibration, and then that manifests into you getting sick. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please comment below if you've got any comments about the video or any questions you'd like me to answer. But otherwise, if you'd like to book an appointment, go to trulyholistic.net. Until next time, bye.